Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be sharing my experiences with running an online shop called Digital Garage Sale. I started this shop about 2 years ago as a way to have a side hustle where I could just do something completely different from what I was doing, which is grad school, and I've learned a bunch along the way, and so I thought I'd share some tips and tricks that I've picked up in these 2 years that might help you grow your Etsy shop or might help break the ice for you to get started. So first things first, why Etsy as opposed to Shopify, for instance? So one of the things that I noticed while I was experimenting with these two platforms is that the main reason Etsy is so great is because you don't have to drive the traffic to your shop. That's what their search engine is for. So with Shopify, you have to find ways to promote your shop and bring the traffic in. So what I really like about Etsy is that sometimes I just wake up in the morning and I see that I have 3 sales that happened while I was asleep. It's kind of amazing in that way. The listing count. How many items should you have in your store to optimize sales? So I think this depends, but I had a benchmark of about 100 items that I steadily increased to 250 over the course of my first year. And then once I got to that 250 mark, then it was just about restocking when things were sold. Restocking might be easier for people who sell art prints or things that they can reproduce quite easily, but with antiques and vintage items, I can't restock one-to-one, so it's more a matter of keeping the number of listed items about the same. One of the ways that I streamline the process of listing is actually to just copy what I already have. So I'll walk you through an example here. Let's go to the listings page and we're gonna find a lamp to copy over. So we find the listing, which is right here, and we're going to click on the little gear and then copy. And this will essentially copy all the information you included in the original listing. And now it's just a matter of editing whatever needs to be edited to reflect the new item. So whether it's the size or the title or the description, it's already there, so you can just reuse the formatting as well instead of coming up with it from scratch. And the tag section is arguably one of the most important sections in your listing. That's what will help customers find the listings in the search engine. So some of the things that I use for shipping that have made the process a lot easier for listing is first, a kitchen scale. This might not work for larger size items, but it does work for most. And I got this from Amazon for around $10 or $15, and it really does the trick, and I could just carry it around wherever I'm packing. The other thing that I use is this tape. So this is more expensive than the clear tape that you can find just about anywhere, but this one's amazing because it helps to make recycled boxes look a little cleaner. So I try to avoid buying new packaging as much as possible and just recycle stuff that I get from Amazon, or I ask my family members and friends to keep their packaging supplies and things that they receive for me to pick up so that I can just use them for my shop. Another thing that I got done was the stamp. So I got this hand carved by a local Canadian company that I'll share the link in the description, and a VersaFine ink pad that I just use and place on boxes to kind of give them a little bit of a branding feel. It depends on who you ask, but for me, packaging is not a priority. I want things to arrive safely and I want the boxes to look clean, but I'm not going to nitpick over how beautiful the packaging is, because with glassware and ceramic, it's more about making sure that the item arrives in one piece with no cracks or breaks. And so it's rare that the items look really that nice when they're all packaged up and full of bubble wrap. So as long as the box has my brand on it and it's nice and clean, then I'm happy. Another thing you might be wondering about is how much can you make? And this really depends on how much time you're willing to put in and how many items you're going to list and what their average value is. I had to put in a lot of hours just to get it all set up, to source the items I was going to sell, to prep them, photograph them, pick them up. So when I first started, as you can see here in my monthly statement, I started in July of 2020, and at this point, I was just paying the listing fees. And then as time went by, it took a few months for me to build up the listings, but once I did, then the sales really started rolling in, and some months did really, really well, while others had a slower month. But overall, it's been a really great experience where at the beginning I was putting in maybe 10-15 hours a week. Now that I have a lot of the listings already there, I can go some weeks without putting in any hours if I don't get a sale, or if I do, then it's more about 1 to 4 hours depending on how many sales I got that week, how long it takes to go to the post office and pack, etc. So if you're looking to get into selling vintage or antique items, I'd recommend trying to figure out what are your interests and what are the types of items you're interested in selling. So I learned very quickly on that I don't love selling breakables, things like ceramic or glass, even though I'm a huge pottery fan. I have a collection of West German vases and pottery pieces that I've accumulated over the years, but shipping them could be quite an arduous task because you really want to guarantee that things will arrive in one piece. And some of that is up to you in terms of how much bubble wrap you use and the kind of strategies that you have for shipping and packing. But then the rest is up to the postal service and how far it's going and how much handling it's getting. And so I've had a few hiccups with things arriving broken, and it's really heartbreaking because these are not items that I can find often or find easily because, you know, it's been so long that they've been in circulation that they become rarer and rarer. One thing that I love selling actually is antique quilts, and I've learned a ton on how to identify antique quilts by their fabric, by their color schemes and their patterns. I have a great book for this that I often look into when I'm trying to figure out whether a quilt is antique or not, and I'll link it right here. But the caveat with antique quilts is that they're quite difficult to find, at least where I live, which is in Quebec. I know that in some parts of the United States, they're much easier to come by, but not here. But regardless of that, I still love the hunt, and I love selling them, and they fetch quite a high price if you're willing to put in the work of cleaning them and making sure that any tears or rips have been mended. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this sort of content about Etsy selling and vintage things and home decor and styling, make sure to like and subscribe.